Namaste everyone. Welcome to the session today. Today we're going to talk about anxiety. And before I share with you the Hindu perspective about anxiety, I would like to first talk about the two tendencies that we have in our minds. The first tendency that we have is about this natural tendency for the mind to go back to the past, to look at what has happened in the past. And the second one is this tendency to gravitate towards the future. And inevitably, two emotions are connected to these two tendencies. When it comes to the past, we naturally have regrets, which becomes a negative feeling in our minds. And when it comes to the future, we naturally have a certain degree of anxiety. So these two feelings of regret as well as anxiety are associated with events in time. One with respect to things that have already taken place, and the other one is about things that is yet to take place. And when it comes to anxiety, we are usually talking about the future. And there is one important attribute that is often associated with anxiety, which is uncertainty. So in this difficult period, I guess the whole of humanity is going through, COVID-19, one of the biggest challenges that we have is about the future. It could be related to our jobs, it could be related to our relationships, our financial situation. Now, all of this could have become an uncertainty to you, like it has become to many people across the globe. So how can we deal with this uncertainty? Because I think that is perhaps more important to talk about than rather regrets, given that this is what we are going through today. So in the Bhagavad Gita, which is a very important scripture for the Hindus, Krishna shares two tips that we can use in times where we feel uncertain. The first one is the ability to cultivate resilience or endurance. So he uses a very nice line in Sanskrit that says, Tam titikshasva bharata, which is basically cultivate this endurance when it comes to feelings that we may experience. Now, this endurance or resilience can be cultivated through many means. One is through meditation, which you could try using the meditation practices that you may have in your faith tradition, or it could also be through prayer. That is one way that you can do it. And the other way is a very simple technique that you can use is basically breathing exercises that can help you cope with feelings. So this is the first method that Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita, the ability to endure. Then the second method or technique that Krishna talks about is knowledge. Now this knowledge is related to the realities of life, the facts of life. And one fact that he shares in the Bhagavad Gita is that we have control over only the actions that we can do, but not the results. So there are many things that we have control over in the sphere of our life, where we have the ability to take actions. But when it comes to the results of actions, it is not in our hands. There are so many other factors that contribute towards it. So therefore, one of the things that we can also anchor ourselves in is by having this knowledge that we don't have control over the outcomes of our actions. Therefore, we can develop a certain degree of acceptance. And this acceptance is built through this knowledge. So these are two techniques that you can possibly use. One is a coping mechanism, which can allow you to build resilience and endurance. The other one is through the knowledge about facts of life, about realities of life that help us live our lives perhaps more with wisdom. And also this knowledge and this ability to endure and be resilient help us to do one more thing, which is to respond to these situations instead of reacting to it. Loka samastha sukhino bhavantu. Om shanti shanti shanti.
From my tradition, we see all of life, all of creation as a gift from God. And the way we are in touch with life is by experiencing it. We experience life by feeling, by sensing, by being touched by life. Thus, all feelings and senses are an important way of being aware how the gift of life is touching you. how life is interacting with you. As a human being who is a part of life and a part of creation, to feel anxiety and loss during this COVID season is part of life. To be able to experience and acknowledge that I am anxious is to know that you are alive. Only the dead don't feel. Thus, all encounters of life that we experience as a human person, including loss and anxiety, are part of life, inviting you to be open to the fullness of life. The common advice given is often to pray, but it often seems trite when one feels a little overwhelmed by disintegrating anxiety or loss. I guess what begs the question is not why pray, but how do we pray? The object of prayer is not so much to make something happen your way, no matter how good the intention is, but come to know that the anxiety that wakes you to life is inviting you to receive the fullness of life. We forget that the human need to pray is more often organic and natural than it is duty. That is why Jesus invites us to become like little children. And they teach us a thing or two how to pray, especially in anxiety. We suffer from anxiety because we suffer from the illusion of self-sufficiency, whilst children suffer no illusion because they are simply present to their pain, dependent and trusting in life. Or rather, in this case, their mothers. When they are anxious and feel the pain of loss, they instinctively turn to mom in tears, and they are comforted. We are invited the same trust and faith children have in the face of anxiety and loss, and find that we are not alone when we can feel how God, as a parent, like a parent, feels for us when we are in pain. So we just simply need to pause, feel how God, as a parent, feels for us when we are feeling pain and loss and disintegration. Indeed, blessed are those that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Number one, when dealing with any kind of loss and grief, Islam teaches us that it is perfectly fine to feel the emotions that come with loss. It is normal for us to mourn loss, and it is important even for us to cry when we feel like crying, cry when we need to cry, because from here we understand that it is unhealthy for us to suppress those emotions. It is unhealthy for us to pretend like we're not affected, and trying to remain strong, putting up a front to people, trying to impress upon them that, hey, you know what, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm not moved by this. And that's not recommended, because at the end of the day, we are human beings, and perhaps there are people in our lives whom we've spent a great deal of our lives with. We share very magical moments with. We spent and invested a lot of our time with. And it's only normal and it's only human for us to feel a sense of loss whenever we have to part ways with people in our lives. And sometimes the anxiety is linked to that. Well, of course, anxiety can be for many different reasons. But it's always good to remember that in the Muslim faith, we always taught that anyone who comes and anyone who leaves comes and leaves because this is what God believes is right, the best timing for them to arrive. And however unfortunate the circumstances may be, that we need to trust that everything happens for a reason, and every reason is a good reason. And anxiety can be managed when we learn to deal with what we can deal with, but the rest of the other aspects that are beyond us, like we can't control when someone leaves us, those things we need to learn to surrender to God and learn to trust. And trust is a very big factor because trust requires faith, right? When you have faith, then I truly believe that anything you can and will be able to overcome, because your faith will keep you going. Your faith will keep you positive in times when things are difficult, in times of great uncertainties, like the times that we're living in right now. Now, I truly understand that there are some of us who may have had a family member or a loved one leave us during this COVID-19 situation. And whether it was because of the virus or whether it was for some other reason, still, it must have been difficult because of the restricted number of people allowed to visit, to go to the funerals and things like that. And let's just take it as, there must be a reason why. And maybe it's for us to learn to appreciate life better. Maybe it's for us to remember them longer in our hearts and in our memories, and learn to cherish the current relationships that we still have. And so in dealing with anxiety, one of the tips I can share is that in Islam, it's always taught that we should remember God, because remembering God gives us peace, gives us calmness, because we know that in matters where things are beyond our control, we know that He is in control ultimately, and that's where our faith lies. And so remembering Him, in prayer, and prayer is a moment where we are very calm, we are very relaxed, we're in a relaxed state, and that's usually the best time.
In light of COVID-19 circuit breaker period, the public, including our followers, may feel anxious and lost in coping with the current situation. Many of us face challenges in coping with the drastic change in our usual daily routine, such as working and studying from home. Some face with uncertainty about their career. Some worry they may lose their jobs, and those seeking for opportunity may have to change their plans. Some went into panic buying and stock up excessively, worrying that they may not get food during this pandemic, despite our government assuring we have enough in our stockpile. Whenever people have worries and anxiety, they have the option to go to the temple to pray and receive blessing. Now, the place of worship are closed. How can they continue to seek divine blessing and strength during this period? Taoists believe in living life simply, back to basic. In Mandarin, we say 返璞归真, keep things simple and live life simple. Some have been so absorbed in the rat race that taking a break seems to be extremely difficult task for them. Sleeping becomes difficult, but sleep is the most essential for our bodies to rest and recover. What is the point of accumulating all the wealth and use that wealth to regain health when we are sick? Just have adequate rest and take care of our health. That is what Taoists believe in health preservation. To take a break is to gear up for a longer journey. Use this opportunity to slow down our pace and nourish our body and minds, so that when the opportunity comes, we have energy and health to do what we want. Taoists believe that mindfulness is vital in our daily living. We should practice to be self-contented with our existing happiness and value, free from wild thoughts. Like what we always say, the greatest joy is to be content. In Chinese, we say 知足常乐. In view of majority of us are staying at home during this restricted period, we can do self-reflection on our action we had done in the past. By sitting in a quiet room or a quiet spot in our house, to do self-reflection for 5 to 15 minutes daily. This action will help to calm our mind and also to suppress our anxiety and loss. Apart from suppression of anxiety and loss through reflection, reflection also do help us to find a balanced equality between yin and yang polarity. We will able to achieve a balance of both. Of course, too excessive of yin or yang is not good too. Always seek the balance and harmony. Before I end my sharing, I refer to Tao Te Ching chapter 81. True words are not pleasing, and pleasing words are not true. In Mandarin we say, 信言不美，美言不信, which means true wins without a fight. So there is no need to start one over it. The only thing needed is some patience. If we impatiently insist on the truth, we will be less convincing and it will just take longer for the truth to win. The Tao Te Ching ends with, do what is right and not strive with others, and assist anyone in need and do not cause any harm. Let us, united and have patience in dealing with this crisis. We should take this opportunity to restore our humanity and do good for others.
Coping with loss, anxiety, and disintegration. In Buddhism, we call this as part of suffering, the first noble truth. Aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, like we see in this pandemic, and death is also suffering. Not getting what you want is also suffering. Separation from your loved ones is also suffering. Right? So how do we handle this situation? There are many circular methods in the society. We can go and enjoy a holiday, have some entertainment, eat the food we like, watch some television, go for the movies. So these are very circular methods of relieving stress, relieving suffering. But how to overcome suffering in a spiritual manner? So in many religions, we talk about this personal ego, personal desire, personal will, right? Not the one that you write to the lawyer. The personal will versus, maybe in the monotheistic religion, versus God's will, right? So in Buddhist terminology, we talk about this personal desire, negative desire, right? So there are three kinds of desire. First is greed, craving for sensual pleasure. Anything we like, we want. Yeah? So every time we want more, the mind is not balanced. And the other kind of desire is hatred. Any unpleasant sensation we dislike, we want to reject, we want to push away. This also causes this imbalance, right? So to find peace, we need to overcome these two mainly, greed and hatred, to find inner peace. So it is important to identify the cause of the problem, and then we can find the solution. So the solution is to apply the opposite kind of thinking. So to overcome greed, we need to think of this impermanent nature, reflect on impermanence. In theory, intellectually, we believe everything is changing, but we cannot come to accept, we cannot come to terms with this reality, right? So later on in the exercise, there will be a guided session on how to contemplate or reflect on this impermanence. And the other opposite of hatred is love, loving-kindness, right? So to overcome hatred, we need loving-kindness, is to wish all beings well and happy, right? So having this loving-kindness is not the same as superficial kind of affection. I love my friends, I like my friends, I like the people I love, the close ones you love, right? So this loving kindness exercise we are going to do later is going to be a boundless, unconditional kind of loving kindness to all beings. So it is a mental exercise to make the mind balanced. Right? So once you're out of this meditation exercise, hopefully the mind is calmer and you can think more rationally, make more rational decisions, and lead a less anxious life. Now we are going to do this metta or loving kindness meditation to find this inner peace. Physically, we can sit in any posture. You can be on the chair, or on the floor, or even standing up. The whole idea is to be comfortable and relaxed as possible. Once you find a suitable posture, what you can do is start to feel the sensations of your body, starting from head to toe. So you can start to feel the head, whether are there any tensions. And then you slowly sweep down to the face, the eyes. So what we are going to do is, any sensation you experience, we are not going to cling onto the experience, neither we are going to reject the experience. So to do that, we need to have this open kind of love and acceptance to this phenomenon. Any kind of stimuli we experience, we just be at peace, right? Learn to wish it well and happy. So once we close our eyes, then we think of the head, feel the head. We wish the head well and happy. Down to the eyes, well and happy. And then the rest of the facial muscles, you wish them well and happy. And then to your neck, you wish them well and happy. Down to the shoulders, wish them well and happy. The shoulder blades, may they be well and happy. And then your arms, your left arm and your right arms. You can feel all the way to your hands and the fingers. And then we're going to feel our torso area, the chest. And then our abdomen area. And the back of our body, the entire spinal cord, all the way down to the tailbone. And we can think of our hips, our pelvis. May they be well and happy. And then to the right leg, all the way down to the toes. May they be well and happy. and your left leg, all the way down to the toes. May they be well and happy. So now we're going to generally fill this entire body with loving kindness. Whatever sensations that arise, be at peace with it. No need to grasp. If it changes, then you just observe how the sensation change. There can be many kinds of sensations around the body. Can be tightness, tension, hard and soft, warm and cold, itchiness, moist, dry, whatever it is. The whole idea is all these things will come to pass. As long as you don't cling onto it, you give a general welcoming kind of mental posture, you wish them well and happy, and then they will come and go like a passerby. If we cling on any of these sensations, we will have tension and suffering. So the whole idea is not to react to any of these sensations. And then the next thing we're going to do is to radiate loving kindness, the thought of goodwill, to the front. We wish may all beings in front be well and happy. So all these sensations in front also go through many changes. All the beings in front too go through many changes. They go through aging, sickness, and passing away. And then we have this compassion for them. May they be free from suffering. And then we pay our attention back to ourselves. And we're going to wish may all beings behind be well and happy. All these beings behind, they go through changes of birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. May they be free from suffering. And then we come back to ourselves, and we're going to wish may all beings on the left, may they be well and happy. These beings on the left go through birth, aging, sickness and death. May they be free from suffering. And we come back to ourselves, and we're going to extend the loving kindness to the right. May all beings on the right be well and happy. May they be free from suffering. And we come back to ourselves, and we wish may all beings above be well and happy. They too go through this birth, aging, sickness and death. May they be free from suffering. And we come back to ourselves. And we're going to wish, may all beings below, may they be well and happy. They too go through this birth, aging, sickness and death. May they be free from suffering. We turn this attention back to ourselves, wishing our entire body well and happy. And eventually we're going to suffuse this loving kindness through all directions, above, below and all across, wishing all beings well and happy. So the whole idea is to maintain this boundless loving kindness as long as possible and enjoy this emotion. Yeah. Enjoy being at one with the universe, with all beings, be connected. And then may you find true meaning, true purpose by wishing all beings well and happy. Thank you.